sometimes all you need is a McDonald's Coke. It's a Monday. I needed a McDonald's Coke. Hello, my friends. I hope that you've been doing well. Today, I am doing my monthly reading wrap-up. So, it is officially May. I don't even want to talk about that. Time is moving so quickly. This year has gone by like so fast, it feels like. But I am going to talk about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books that I read in the month of April. I honestly expected April to be a better reading month for me, not in terms of books. I feel like 10 books a month is great. You know, I don't ever like to beat myself up about the number of books that I'm reading, and neither should you if you read one book a year. But that book is amazing and you had a good time and you learned something. That's all that matters, you know what I mean? Whether you're reading 300 books or one book, as long as you're having a good time. So the number isn't necessarily what's wrong, but I didn't have the best reads. Like, I just kept being disappointed with what I was reading. We have books from every single star, from a 1-star to a 5-star, so at least we did get some 5-star reads in April, but it started off rough. We had a lot of DNFs, a lot of 1-star, 2 stars. Let's talk about it. Before we get into it, I want to explain my DNF system. I'm not sure if I've talked about this in my other monthly wrap-ups, which, by the way, I do these every month, so go check out the playlist. But for me, I still count DNF'd books towards my reading goal, or like my yearly books read, because if I label a book as DNF'd, like on Goodreads or whatever, that means that I read at least 50% of the book and DNF'd. And if I do something other than that, I'll specify exactly, but I at least try to read like 100 pages or 50% of the book, and if I'm still not enjoying it by then, I will DNF it, and I will count it as a book read, because, bitch, time is precious, and if I wasted hours of my time to DNF a book, I'm still counting it, you know? If I pick up a book and I read, like, the first 2 chapters and put it down, that I don't count it, you know? But if I get, like, halfway and I'm like, this is not gonna work for me, then I DNF it and I count it towards my reading goal. So, yes, these books that I DNF'd, I did read at least half of. But yeah, I figured let's start from the lowest rated to the highest rated. We'll save the good stuff for the end, and trust me, they are good books, so stay tuned. Okay, so the first 2 books that I read in April, I don't have physical copies of, so I will be doing some tapping on my Kindle instead, are the second and third book in the Shatter Me series. They are Unravel Me and Ignite Me. I did an entire spoilery reading vlog on my vlog channel where I read this series, so if you want to see like my full thoughts and reactions as I'm reading the books, go watch that video. But to sum it all up, I did not like this series. Ooh, I'm a very unpopular opinion. I feel like so many people love it. I thought the writing was just really bad. I don't know how else to put it, and not to, you know, this is nothing personal towards the author or personal towards people that enjoy books I don't like, you know, these are just my stupid opinions and how I felt. Also, my ratings on books, 9 times out of 10, are directly correlated to my personal experience reading the book and not the quality of the work, so take that with a grain of salt. But the writing style in me just did not mesh with this series. I thought it was ridiculous, okay? It's just like, there are just so many other YA dystopian series that I would rather read, right? I watched her video after I uploaded mine. And the stuff that happens in the last 3 books, like, it just goes completely off script. It goes fucking bonkers. Everyone's dying and being brought back to life. Memories are being wiped. Characters are, like, everyone's name changes. Like, this series is ridiculous. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. It's not for me. I once started the entire series, and I gave up halfway through. And I do not regret a single thing. I don't regret a single thing, because I gotta prioritize my mental health and well-being, and this, it was a mess. If you love it, I love that for you, bestie. To all my Aaron Warner girlies, I see you, I love you, I respect you. It just didn't work for me. So, after that, I read about half of first semester by, oh my gosh, I cannot remember the author's name. She's a very, very popular, spicy, Kindle Unlimited romance author. And I've wanted to try out her books for a while. And so I downloaded this on my Kindle and read it in one sitting. I read half of it and then I just DNF'd it. Not that it was, like, bad. I actually think that the plot had a lot of potential. This is about a student-teacher relationship, like a college professor and student. So it's taboo, okay? It's taboo. It is 18 plus, check trigger warnings, you know. It's not for everybody, right? I love a little fun taboo, kinky read every once in a while. Like, it's just like brain candy to me. It takes me back to my fan fiction days. So, yeah, the actual, like, setup of, like, how these two met and how their relationship started, I was actually, like, really interested in, and the writing I thought was really good until we got to the first smut scene, the first explicit scene, and then the writing was just really, really not, it didn't work for me. It was very, like, very fanfic. There was specifically a line that said, I'm the only one that gets to smell your cunt. And that just didn't really do it for me personally, but that's okay. So I DNF'd it because I knew once I got like 50% and I was like, okay, the plot that I thought was interesting at the beginning basically doesn't matter. This is all porn, no plot, which is fine. But I was just looking for a little more plot, so it wasn't for me. But if you like student-teacher relationships and like an alpha dom guy in the bedroom, I guess, like, you'd probably enjoy this. I'm more into like the golden retriever male love interests, but yeah, okay. Next, we have an arc. I read an arc. Sorry, I did a lot of reading on my Kindle, so I don't have many book triggers right now, but the last half of this list will be physical books, I promise. We've got 5 physical books. But then I read an arc on my Kindle called Plot Twist by Erin LaRosa. This is the first arc I've ever been, like, approved for and sent, which was so exciting for me. My first time ever getting an arc, so that was really, really cool. And the plot of this story seemed so good. It's a contemporary romance about this romance author who's like in a writing slump and she doesn't know what to write her next book about. She is like in a romantic dry spell. She just needs some inspiration. And she is actually renting the guest house of this guy who's the love interest. And he was actually like, I don't remember if it was like a teenage, like a boy band member or like an actor. He was famous back in the day, like a heartthrob. But now he's like a bit older and whatever. And he has this is why I ended up DNFing this, unfortunately. He has an alter ego TikTok account that's at Talk Crafty to Me, where he posts his crafts, which is fine, okay? I love men that do crafts. That sounds amazing. I just don't personally like books that reference social media super directly. As somebody that does social media as my job, I find that most of the time it's done kind of cringe, or it's like very surface level. Like, I remember in the first few pages, the guy mentioned like he was trying to like give someone a tip about posting on their TikTok and was like, use hashtags, and it's just stuff like that that's just like so basic. Like, I want like actual research, and maybe if it was just more accurate to the real experience of doing social media as a job, then I would click with it. But for some reason I'm just like, oh, it might also be because I read books to escape my real life. Like, I don't want to read books about people doing social media as a career. That's my job. That's what I do every day. So like, I want something different than my day-to-day, I guess. That might also be why, but it never really works for me, very rarely. So this book talked a lot about social media marketing, and TikTok specifically. I deleted TikTok. My mental just does not lie. Me and TikTok are not a vibe. We do not mesh. And it just wasn't working for me, unfortunately. I actually thought the writing was good and the concept was good, and I gave it a 2-star, even though I DNF'd it because I could see the potential. But it just didn't work for me, and I noticed that in a lot of the reviews that I read after I decided I was going to stop reading. A lot of people agreed that it was just too much TikTok reference, too much TikTok. But I think I just need to try something else from this author, because I liked the writing, but I did not like the premise. So yeah, that's plot twist. Okay, now we'll move into some physical books. The next book that I read, you can probably tell, April was the month of romance for me. I read so much fantasy in March, and in April I just felt a little bit burnt out, and so I read just a lot more contemporary romance. I find that happens a lot. Those are my top 2 genres, so I'll just like switch between them. So the first physical book that I read in April is a contemporary romance. This is Praise by Sarah Kate. This is about Charlie and Emerson. Charlie is actually, at the beginning of the story, she is dating Emerson's son, but they break up. They do not have a good relationship. I think he cheats on her. I don't remember exactly, but basically they break up very shortly, probably like page 2. So that's not a spoiler. And so Charlie wants to get her security deposit back, and her ex-boyfriend's like, well, my dad has it, so you need to go get it from him. So Charlie walks into Emerson's office to pick up this check, and Emerson is a businessman. He owns the Salacious Players Club along with his group of friends, which is a sex club where people can go and explore kinks and stuff. He is really sex positive, you know. He loves a good secretary that will kneel at his desk like a dog. Like, you know, if you know, you know, okay? He likes the dom submissive vibe, right? Very 50 Shades of Grey. This is like modern 50 Shades of Grey, if it was written better, in my opinion. So Charlie walks in thinking that she's gonna get this check, nothing of it, right? Emerson turns around, sees her, and thinks that Charlie is the new secretary, the special secretary. And so he goes, sit down, or whatever, like, good girl, you know, very good girl, praise. Charlie's like, what the fuck, you know, like, what? But she's kind of into it for some reason. She's like, hold on, like, why am I into this? Why do I like this man telling me I'm a good girl, you know? And once Emerson figures out that it's Charlie, not his secretary, he feels so bad, and he actually ends up offering her a job, because they get to talking, she gets the check, figures out, you know, whatever. And so then it's like workplace romance, forced proximity, and boss employee kind of vibe, and it's ex-boyfriend's dad. There's a lot of tropes that go into this, but yeah, I gave this a 2.5 star to 2.5. Here's the thing. I liked the writing style. I liked the concept. The concept was so good. I liked the Salacious Player Club as a place. I might continue on. This is a series, so there's multiple books around all the different people involved with the Salacious Player Club. But for Emerson and Charlie, like, this is a romance book at the end of the day, and I did not feel any romantic connection. I just felt like they were sexually attracted to each other, and that was it. It just went from like 0 to 100, and Emerson was like all of a sudden just so protective over her and like a little bit like aggressive about it, and I was just like, why? Like, you don't even know her. Like, do you know her favorite color? Do you know what she likes to eat? No. Like, I just think they never got to know each other. It was just purely insta lust from the beginning, and so that just didn't work for me. Next, I read a Colleen Hoover book. So at this point in the month, as you can tell, things weren't looking great. A lot of DNFs, a lot of low ratings. I just hadn't read anything that I couldn't put down. You know, it was taking me longer to finish books. And so my go-to book slump cure is always, for some reason, a Colleen Hoover book. I'm not Colleen Hoover's biggest fan. I've definitely criticized some of her books in the past, but I've really liked other ones. Very hit or miss author for me. But there's one thing that is consistent with every single Colleen Hoover book I've ever read. It is fast-paced, and it's so easy to fly through in like a day. I have never taken longer than like 2 days to read a Colleen Hoover book. So whenever I'm in a slump and I just need to like get through a book and have something like entertain me that's very just like easy to get through, I always pick up one of her books. So I picked up Hopeless because I feel like this one is one of the ones that everyone says is like underrated, that it should have more hype, whatever. I'm gonna say I hate these new covers that her books are getting. Every time I see them now, I just think of that Twitter meme where someone said they looked like the Boom Chicka Pop popcorn bags. Because it's so true. It's just so bland. It's so boring. Like, I could have made this cover on fucking PicMonkey when I was 13. It's just boring. Anyway, that's not the point. This book follows Sky and teen older, and it's a high school book, so that intrigued me. I've never read a Colleen Hoover book set in high school. All the stuff I've read from her has been like new adult or adult. Sky, she was adopted by her mom when she was very young. She doesn't even really remember like her birth parents all that much, and her mom like is like anti-technology, is kind of like a granola mom, you know, like a crunchy mom. No technology. She homeschooled her. She was just very sheltered growing up. And then in high school she decides and like convinces her mom that she wants to go to public school and like be able to make friends and like date boys, and her best friend goes to public school and she wants to go with her. So this kind of follows Sky's journey. Holder is like the bad boy at her high school that she keeps running into, and they kind of have this connection, and it follows their friendship, relationship. And so there is something very serious that goes on through this, that Sky discovers lies that Holder's things that Holder's lying about and stuff. But I don't want to spoil what it is, but it is triggering, okay? So just for every Colleen Hoover book, check trigger warnings, okay? That's the problem that I have with a lot of Colleen Hoover books, is that they're marketed as these like fun little romances with these like basic little covers, when this book is actually quite traumatized. Like, something very serious happened and it's quite heavy. So yeah, I feel like that's Colleen Hoover really needs to work on her marketing. Like, her marketing team needs to get it together, because and there should be trigger warnings in these books. So yeah, just check the trigger warnings if you are easily triggered by anything. I will say I did kind of see the plot twist coming. I suspected half of it, but then I didn't guess the other half. But yeah, I just didn't, like, compared to the other Colleen Hoover books, I didn't care. I thought the writing was like very just average, and the like plot twist and the relationship I didn't care about. It was kind of cringe. It was high school, you know, whatever. I gave it a 2.5 star. It was whatever. say though, I may not have given it a high rating, but I did finish it in 2 days, and it did get me out of the reading slump, because after this, I've been like flying through books, so it served its purpose, right? Okay, then I actually listened to an audiobook. This is a new release. This just came out. It is a memoir by Madison Beer called The Half of It. When she narrated the audiobook herself, and I listened to it on script, it literally took me like 3 hours. It's a really, really quick read, so if you're interested. But if you don't know who Madison Beer is, she is a singer-songwriter, and she kind of blew up originally because Justin Bieber like shared her video, and I was a huge Justin Bieber fan when I was a preteen. So I've been familiar with her ever since then, and I did really like her album Life Support and her EP As She Pleases. And so this memoir just talked about her story, like how she came to be kind of famous. One of the major things that she went through was when she was like a teenager, and right when she started getting popular, like in 2013 or 14, her nude photos of her as a minor got leaked and spread everywhere. So it talked a lot about that, and it talked a lot about her mental health and her struggles with bipolar disorder, which I found really, really insightful and interesting. I think those two conversations about the sexualization of young women and the blame that's put on them for being sexual, and the conversations about bipolar disorder and mental health, I think were the best parts of the book. Everything else, though, did kind of fall flat. This book just regurgitated a lot of things that you learn as a kid, like if a flower doesn't bloom, where do you look? Do you blame the flower? No, you look at its surroundings. And like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Like, it was just full of those little like general life advice that I'm like, okay, did I need Madison Beer to tell me this? No, not really. So yeah, I gave it a 3 stars. I liked it. I think there were parts of it that I found really insightful and deep, but then there were other parts that I'm like, I wish she would have went deeper. Also, the organization of the book, it wasn't like quite chronological. It would kind of jump around all over the place. There was random like journal prompts for the reader to like fill out, which did not fit the vibe of the book at all. I didn't understand like where they came from. So yeah, it just, there were things it did good, there were things it didn't succeed at, in my opinion. So I gave it a 3-star. I love a memoir. That's like the only nonfiction that I really gravitate to, so it's nice to throw one in every once in a while. So that was The Half of It. And then I started, are we surprised, another contemporary romance series. Yes! I started the Dreamland Billionaires trilogy by Lauren Asher, and that starts with The Fine Print. So this is the first book out of the 3. This was actually kindly sent to me by a subscriber, Katie. If you're watching this, I love you, Katie. She sent this book to me a few months ago, and I've just been like wanting to get to it so badly, but I was waiting for the rest of the series to come out. So the next book is Terms and Conditions, and the third book is The Final Offer, and The Final Offer came out like a month or 2 ago. So I finally have them all, and I'm doing a big old reading vlog on my second channel. So I read the first one, so stay tuned for that. But as I mentioned, this series is the Dreamland Billionaires. So each book follows a brother. There's 3 Kane brothers, and they are billionaires because their grandfather is basically like Walt Disney, and instead of owning like Disneyland, he owns Dreamland. So when their grandfather dies, each brother is left with like a task in their grandfather's will that they need to complete before they can get their share of the inheritance. And so this book follows Rowan and Zara. Rowan is tasked with being the head of Dreamland for 6 months and to like renovate the park and like restore its magic or whatever. And he enlists the help of a girl personified. And she is like a designer, aspiring creator who already worked at Dreamland. So it's like forced proximity, workplace romance, grumpy sunshine. I gave this 3 stars. I thought it was just so average to me. But that's okay, because I actually do think that this is going to be my least favorite in the series. Like, I already anticipated that I would like the second and third one more. Rowan is just, he's a billionaire, okay? And he acts like it. He's cutting the employees at the bottom. He's like changing their health insurance. He does not give a fuck about anyone else but himself and his success. For me, a romance book doesn't consist of a woman having to teach a man how to act like a compassionate human, if that makes sense. Like, it just wasn't attractive to me. I was like, you're a grown man. But yeah, as I mentioned, I'm really excited for the second book. I have high hopes for the rest of the series. Stay tuned, either for my vlog channel video, reading vlog, or for my next reading wrap-up, because I'm hoping to have the other 2 done in May. So I will say I love these covers. I love these books too. Each chapter has like really cute art, and even the like little page breaks. It's like the little castle. I am a bit of a Disney adult. Like, Disney was a big part of my life growing up in my childhood, so the like Disneyland references in this I loved. That's probably like a whole 2 stars of the 3 I gave, was just because of the Disneyland vibe. Okay, next I read another first book in a romance series. All I did this month was read romances, and I regret nothing, okay? It's just that summer vibe, that summer feeling. So, I read Misfit by L. Kennedy. I will say that I started this like a month or 2 ago. It took me a while to finish it, but I still had a great time. I gave it 4 stars. This is the first book in L. Kennedy's prep series, which gives me very Gossip Girl kind of energy, that follow different couples within this prep school, these like rich, wealthy, privileged prep school kids, and there's all this drama and this angst and like the gossip. And so if you like that kind of vibe, that Gossip Girl energy, then definitely check this out. This first book follows Sloane, who is the daughter of like the headmaster of this prep school, and RJ. RJ is actually not like a rich nepotism baby like everyone else. He is just a regular kid, but his mom ends up getting married to this really wealthy guy, and he ends up moving in with his stepdad and his new stepbrother, and transferring to Sandover Prep. And he's actually kind of a bad boy. He got like kicked out of his previous schools, and he's a hacker. He's a hacker. I love nerdy tech boys. Okay, that is like my thing. You're not just getting RJ and Sloane's perspectives, you're also getting the other classmates, Sloane's sister, RJ's stepbrother, etc. And I think that continues throughout the series. So like in the other books, we'll still get little chapters from RJ and Sloane's perspective. And I really liked that. Like, it was really fun. I liked the way L. Kennedy merged romance and this like fun teenage angsty plot and drama. It was good. Again, it literally really did give me Gossip Girl vibes. So I have the second book on my shelf, and I definitely want to read it soon, because the cliffhanger, yeah, this was fun. Really good. 4 stars. My favorite L. Kennedy book that I've read to date. So now I will say, if you loved the like off-campus L. Kennedy series, I don't know if this would work as well for you, but it worked for me. It was an L. Kennedy book with a little bit more plot. So yeah, that was fun. The next book, actually the next 2 books, the last 2 books, are my 5-star reads of with so much joy. I absolutely loved this book. So this book follows a man named Linus Baker, and he is a social worker, and he's very like type A, always likes to follow the rules, just get his work, go home. He lives just alone with his cat Calliope, and he's just like your run-of-the-mill office worker. And one day he gets called by extremely upper management and is sent to go on a special assignment to this orphanage, which is the house in the Cerulean Sea. It's like in the middle of nowhere off this little island. And he's sent there because the orphanage houses a bunch of magical youth. So each of the kids in this house has different powers, abilities, magic. One of them is the son of Satan. The other one turns into a dog when he's scared. The other one is a garden gnome. There's just so many different kids. I love all of them so much. Apparently there's something fishy going on, and they need him to find out like if the kids are safe there and happy. And there is a little bit of a subplot romance. Just read this book. If this interests you at all, go read it. This is a book I would recommend to literally anyone. I want to force my friends and family to all read it because it's just so good. As I was reading this, it felt like a Pixar movie, like playing in my head. I could visualize everything that was going on. I wanted to watch it like a movie so badly. Like if anything needs to be adapted, I would love to see this adapted into like a Pixar animated movie. It just felt like a big gay hug. I loved it. I loved the conversations about children and children's safety, regardless of who they are, where they come from, of the found family. Like if you asked me, I want a book with found family, this is the number one recommendation I would give. It has so many beautiful lessons, but it's just also hilarious. Like I laughed out loud so many times. This book was fucking hilarious. I normally don't really love books that include children because I feel like a lot of the times the children never feel very accurate to me. TJ Klune nailed it, absolutely nailed the dialogue and the interactions between the kids and the humor and the stuff that they would say and the way that they would react to things had me crying with laughter. It was just so good. So I initially started it on audio and I listened to it completely on audio. Highly recommend the audiobook, by the way. The narrator does all unique voices for the kids and they're so good. But then towards the end, like the last 25%, I started tandem reading it with the audiobook and physically so I could annotate it because there are just so many quotes and lines that made me laugh, made me cry, made me feel just immense joy. I definitely want to reread this and go back and like annotate it fully, but wow, it's the little things I expect, little treasures we find without knowing their origin, and they come when we least expect them. It's beautiful when you think about it. Before I talk about this book for 7 days straight, let's move on to the last book that I finished. One of my top anticipated releases of 2023. And I read it the day it came out. I finished it in 2 days. I gobbled it up and it was absolutely perfect. It is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I actually bought a signed copy and it's still in the mail, so I can't like physically hold it up for you, but it was so good. I just felt so connected to these characters, the found family, the second chance romance, all of it. I will say that Book Lovers is definitely still like right there, but I liked Charlie, the main love interest in Book Lovers. Like he's still my favorite Emily Henry book boyfriend, but Happy Place as a whole is my favorite Emily Henry book. Wow, this woman just continues to one-up herself every time. I will read anything that she puts out at this point. I have never given her books below a 4-star perfect. They are just perfect. This one specifically came out April 25th. It follows Harriet and Wynne, who actually were engaged and had been together for like 6+ years when they broke up. But they did not tell any of their friends and family. And every year they go on this summer trip to Maine and they stay in this cottage together. And suddenly the trip rolls around. They still haven't told anyone, and they decide they're gonna go on this trip and pretend that they're still together. The summer essence was just pouring out of this book. Emily Henry, I felt like she transported me to a little beach house in Maine. It was so perfect. I laughed, I cried, there was a point in this book where I didn't know how it was gonna end, and I was scared. It was so good. But yeah, it's funny because, as I said, Happy Place came out on April 25th, and so knowing that, I made it my May book club pick. So it's not too late if you want to join the Discord. In the description box, it's free. You can join my book club and read it with a bunch of us this month. I meant to read it in May, but the second I started it, I couldn't put it down, and I finished it before May even happened. So already read my May book club pick, already gave it a 5-star. May's looking good. But yeah, so those are the books that I finished in the month of April. That is my April wrap up. But speaking of the book club, you might realize that I did not mention what the April book club pick was. That's because it was The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. And this is what I'm currently reading. I have not finished it yet. Yeah, funny that I finished the May book before I finished the April book. I'm going to be reading the May book in April and the April book in May. I'm a mess, but I am really enjoying this. This is a fantasy romance. As you could tell, I just wasn't in the mood to pick up much fantasy this month. But I'm gonna finish it in May, I promise. But it's like a Hunger Games tournament fight to the death with vampires. I am currently like 80 pages. Oh, just kidding, I'm 150 pages. I'm 150 pages into it, and I am really enjoying it, and so many people in the book club loved it, so hopefully it'll be a 4 or 5-star by the end of it, but stay tuned to my May reading wrap-up to find out. But yeah, this was our April book. Well, that, my friends, is it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below how your reading month was. Did you read any books in April? How did it go? And if you don't feel like going into all that, then just comment a good old book emoji. A good old book emoji if you made it to the end of this video. I love you so, so, so much. I am sending you